Okay. All right.
Here are paper copies. The thumb drive contains electronic copies of these as well as the excerpted audio recordings that were admitted. And
Okay. Well, I kind of need a thumb drive for each audio recording, but
it's a separate thumb drive for each.
it's marked at different exhibits, so I have to have it as different exhibits. So, okay, good. We'll go through them and see what we have. And you have yours as well?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may approach.
Okay.
This is exhibit 40 redacted.
Okay,
and,
just give it to Jake.
the photographs that were in this exhibit.
The knives, right.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Great. We'll go through those. If we need anything else, we'll let you know, okay?
And each of the excerpted recordings are on a separate audio file on the thumb drive, so if you'd like a separate, I understand you're saying you'd like a separate physical.
Just because, so we can have them numbered that way, correct?
Sure.
All right. I got to keep Jamie happy. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I just had one more issue that I'd like to approach about it.
Okay, sure.
Judge Penny. Yes, sir? J.B. Rottenborn. Good morning. We believe that Mr. Depp's testimony opened the door for the UK judgment. He testified that. Judge Penny. On direct? J.B. Rottenborn. On direct. He testified that 6 years ago that Miss Heard made these allegations against him, and then he went on to say that he had to wait for his opportunity to address the charges. And he said, so I felt a responsibility of clearing the record. The only way I could get to the point where I could speak. It really has taken this whole 6 years. Judge Penny. Okay. J.B. Rottenborn. And then later he says, on the next page he says, this is actually the first opportunity that I've been able to speak about this case in full for the first time. So he's careful there to say, this case. Judge Penny. This case. J.B. Rottenborn. So what he's left the jury with is the impression that he talked about these accusations 6 years ago. He's leaving the jury with the impression that he's never had the opportunity to address the truth of those accusations, when the fact is, the jury's left with the impression he's never been able to address them to this point. Judge Penny. All right. Ben Chew. I think he was very careful to avoid that, Your Honour. I think he's grasping at straws. Ms. Myers. I believe this is an issue for damages. Judge Penny. I don't think the door's been opened at this point. J.B. Rottenborn. Do I have your leave to refer to the article? Ask about the article. Judge Penny. Which article? J.B. Rottenborn. The article that was subject of the lawsuit. The op-ed, not the op-ed. Elaine. Has nothing to do with this case. Judge Penny, I don't know which article you're talking about. J.B. Rottenborn. We'll just take it as it comes, Your Honour. Ben Chew. The Sun article he's referring to, which has nothing to do with this case. Judge Penny. I'm not going to allow that. J.B. Rottenborn. I just want to be very clear. Judge Penny. Perfect. I appreciate it.
I don't fucking care. You shut up with that. Impossible. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you later. Talk to you later.
You heard Miss Heard say, get off me, right?
No, I did not. I heard distant screaming, and I heard, I'll talk to you later, I'll talk to you later.
Let's look at Exhibit 857, please.
That's Defendant's 857?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Is this another audio file? Oh, no.
It's not, no.
Okay, is there any? Oh,
Mr. Depp, I'd like to direct your attention to the second to last text
Yes.
on this. This is a text from you to your agent, Christian Carino, on August 15th, 2016, correct?
That's correct. That's what it looks like, yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and prejudice.
If you could approach from almost.
Ms. Myers, Your Honour. Judge Penny, 2016. Ms. Myers, this is, again, after the separation. They've already put in exhibits and they're using foul language after this point, and this is needlessly cumulative and it's irrelevant. Judge Penny, what's the relevance? J.B. Rottenborn, well, it's just the second to last text. It's not cumulative for a couple of reasons, Your Honour. Number one, Your Honour allowed us to put in text of violence that he wanted to have happen to Miss Heard. You already allowed the text of Isaac Baruch, which was after. Those were after May 21st, 2016. Judge Penny, oh, I understand that, but I don't see... J.B. Rottenborn, this is the same thing. This is him saying, the one at the bottom, I hope that karma kicks in and takes a gift of breath from her. She's going to... Second one up from the bottom, he refers to her. And this is a document Your Honour's admitted into evidence that his violence toward Amber Heard, towards Alan Barclay, phonetic was probably referring to Ellen, on Friday in the deposition designations, and this is him talking. Judge Penny, this kind of makes it sound like it's cumulative. J.B. Rottenborn, this is critically important at the jury, see? This is what he's saying about Amber. Judge Penny, I mean, I can understand some of it, not all of it. Obviously, it's not relevant. J.B. Rottenborn, that one. Judge Penny, one line. J.B. Rottenborn, when he says global humiliation. Judge Penny, that's J.B. Rottenborn. He says something like he hopes that karma gets the best of her. She will hit the wall hard. I can point to another exhibit right after this, Your Honour, 2014. He uses hit the wall hard. He uses that same phrase. That's another reason I want to use that exhibit. Judge Penny, doesn't say that in this particular text. Oh, here it goes. J.B. Rottenborn. And then the next exhibit that I introduce, one where he says, I think it's 2014, she will hit the wall hard. This is language of violence. Judge Penny, there's a couple, but it's engrossed in a lot of irrelevant information. It doesn't belong in here. So if you want to pick out those two, looks like I'm so funny now, she wants to act this out, she'll hit the wall. I'll allow that. And then I think the one that complicates, indiscernible, that's about it. J.B. Rottenborn, okay, well, I'd like to get it in to ask him about those. Judge Penny, if you could redact it, just those two. J.B. Rottenborn, okay, thank you, Your Honour. Judge Penny, we need to make progress here soon. J.B. Rottenborn, okay.
Your Honor, for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and may I ask the witness about the portions that we discussed, and then we can provide a redacted version.
Okay.
Mr. Depp, is this a text exchange that you had with Ms. Heard on or about October 28th, 2015?
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to direct your attention to the third text down.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 498 with identifiers redacted.
Any objection?
Relevance, Your Honor.
All right,
May we approach?
okay, sure.
Ms. Myers, Your Honour, the relevance of Mr. Depp using an inappropriate word to describe someone other than Miss Heard. I don't understand the relevance. Judge Penny, what's the relevance? J.B. Rottenborn, it's the violence that's been... I want to show that he said this. He's already opened the door and said that he had such a loving marriage and relationship with Vanessa. So at a minimum, it's impeachment. This is the type of... They're hoping that he's a classy guy that never erupts. Amber's just brought out the worst in him. This is showing that he had violent thoughts towards others as well. He keeps saying that he testified repeatedly on direct about his peaceful tendencies and how it was only Amber. This shows that that's... I'm sorry to do it, but there is a lot of horrible incidents of... Judge Penny, it is cumulative. Ms. Myers, Your Honour, these are words about someone that's not misheard. I don't understand the relevance, and if anything, they're offering it for improper character to suggest that because he uses bad words. Judge Penny, I'm going to sustain the objection at this time. Ms. Myers, thank you. Judge Penny, all right.
Can you pull up Exhibit 330, please? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is that Ryan Adams, the singer?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, move for admission of defendants Exhibit 330. Just plan on asking about that text.
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm happy to approach if you want.
J.B. Rottenborn. It's directly toward his state of mind and how misheard. Judge Penny. Was it that date specifically? Is there something that happens on that date? That's why we need to know about his state of mind on that date. J.B. Rottenborn. I'm not sure he was married, but he was with Miss Heard that day. It was getting toward the wedding. And this is a man with Judge Penny. But we've had so many substance abuse, it's a cumulative nature. J.B. Rottenborn. I know, but that's Judge Penny. If there's not a specific date tied to it, J.B. Rottenborn. It goes to his main... He's testified to his main beef with Amber that she didn't want him doing drugs, and he hated her for it. Judge Penny. I think we get that over the last day. J.B. Rottenborn. I'm going to have to hit it a little bit more. I want to... Judge Penny. If it's not tied to a specific date, I do have to draw the line. We've got too much cumulative things. I've gone through all of the exhibits over the weekend, Mr. Rottenborn, and there's plenty in here about his substance abuse and his texts of substance abuse. Until you tie it down to a date, J.B. Rottenborn. But it's not only substance abuse, but the violence that grows from that. Judge Penny. This one just says hatred. J.B. Rottenborn. Then the next one. We can discuss the next one. The next one, he said that, I'm going to try to get in this one from, he texted her sober friend and said, the head is a C word with grievous intent. That's why drugs are good. I mean, this ties into the pain he's testified that he experienced, and the fact that he numbs the pain with drugs. He just... Judge Penny. I have a lot of exhibits that say that, Mr. Rottenborn. So it becomes cumulative. I'm going to sustain the objection at this time. If words are tied to a date, it's important in this case, okay? J.B. Rottenborn. We believe that the... Okay. Judge Penny. All right. Miss Myers, thank you, Your Honour.
Can you pull up Exhibit 620, please? This is a text from you to Malcolm Connolly. Is that right?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I'd move for admission of this document with the third text down.
If I just...
Sure.
I'm happy to approach to discuss if Your Honor would like.
Relevance objection again, Your Honor.
Okay, if you want to approach.
J.B. Rottenborn. I believe that February the 10th, you can correct me if you disagree, but I believe February the 10th, 2016 is the date of that Sweets a Kitchen video that we saw. Judge Penny, right. Ms. Myers. I don't believe that that date was ever established. I believe Mr. Depp asked you about the date of that. J.B. Rottenborn. Well, you can establish that with Amber. Judge Penny. I'll allow it at this time. Again, redacted. J.B. Rottenborn. Thank you.
This is a text message exchange between you and Ms. Heard on October 29th, 2013, correct?
It looks like it is, yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 195 with the appropriate identifiers redacted.
We would object on relevance grounds, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is him expressing his views on her taking a meeting about a movie, her career, his views.
Judge Penny. How is that relevant? J.B. Rottenborn. He's jealous and he's controlling, and he told her, no movies, no meeting, no movies. This is what he says in that text message to her. It goes entirely towards his motive for abusing her. We're going to hear from Miss Heard about this. This is directly relevant. Ms. Myers. Your Honour, it's his view on her. I mean, I don't have the context of this. I don't understand how that... Judge Penny. I guess it goes to his true nature. I'll allow it. Did you have any objection to the page coming in, or did you just want the text? Ms. Myers. No, I would like the entire page. Judge Penny. All right, just get the identifiers off. J.B. Rottenborn, thank you. Judge Penny.
So 195 will be in evidence with, redacted with the identifiers.
Well, digits when I was 13 then.
Just the way it was worded. Now, Miss Heard wasn't the only one who had a problem with you can take that down. Miss Heard wasn't the only one who had a problem with your drinking and abuse of alcohol, correct?
Objection compound.
All right, I'll sustain the objection if you want.
Miss Heard wasn't the only one who had a problem with your drinking, correct?
Sir, if anyone had a problem with my drinking at any time in my life, it was me. The only person that I have ever abused in my life is myself.
In fact, you tried to hide your drinking from your daughter, Lily Rose, didn't you?
Objection relevance.
What's the relevance?
When your nerves are
But,
pushed...
sure, if you
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Pardon?
J.B. Rottenborn. Again, she's brought his kid into it. He said that they hated Miss Heard, they didn't like her, blah blah blah. And he's testified that no one had a problem with his drinking. He said, no one's had a problem but me. And here, the next text I'm going to bring up is one where he says, and this is directly contrary to his testimony so far, he says, now Lily Rose hates me because she thinks I'm drinking, and she's right, but I can't admit it, or I die in her eyes. That's entirely relevant because it undermines Judge Penny. What's the date? J.B. Rottenborn, January 21st, 2014, directly in the middle of their relationship. Ms. Myers, that's not tied to any incidents of abuse. I don't believe he's denied drinking during the relationship. Judge Penny, I'll allow that. We're moving forward at some point. J.B. Rottenborn, I am. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. I have a few more drug things to do, and then... Judge Penny, that sounds interesting. J.B. Rottenborn, I'm moving as fast as I can. I think I'm less than 30 minutes away. Judge Penny, all right, I'll overrule the objection. Move on. J.B. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honour.
Can you pull up Exhibit 207, please? Mr. Depp, is this a picture of you passed out in a chair during daylight hours?
Again, isn't passed out, that's a very specific term. Sleep could be one, passed out.
Let's try it this way. This is a picture of you in a chair, correct?
That is correct.
Move for the admission of 1092, Your Honor.
Any objection?
I'm relevance, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm trying to move this along, and when we stop with
Well,
relevance,
you want to lay a foundation, I just don't.
this is a picture of Mr. Depp. We've introduced another, on Thursday, another picture of that.
What is the date of this photograph? I'm sorry.
J.B. Rottenborn. Just 3 of these I'm trying to... Judge Penny. I know, but what's the relevancy as far as what date? Do you have a time frame for this? J.B. Rottenborn. Miss Heard can testify to these. I don't know what the day is, but if he says it's him, and again, Judge Penny. It's him, but it's not relevant unless I get a time frame. If you'll wait until she gets on the stand and bring all these in, that's fine. J.B. Rottenborn. I'm happy to do that, Your Honour. To speed it along, I believe they're all relevant because they all go towards his systemic drug abuse. Judge Penny. Well, maybe they are relevant, but that could have been taken yesterday, then it wouldn't have been relevant. That's my problem. She objected to relevance. I have to sustain at this time unless you lay a foundation. J.B. Rottenborn. Well, he's not going to know when. Judge Penny. Then I guess you have to wait until Miss Heard. J.B. Rottenborn. I have pictures of him passed out on the floor. Ms. Myers, you have not allowed us to lay that foundation. Judge Penny. If you have pictures of him this past weekend passed out, they're not relevant. J.B. Rottenborn, I take your point. In an effort to move along, I'll skip through these and we'll bring them through Miss Heard's testimony. Judge Penny, okay, that would be perfect.
Can you take that down and put up Exhibit 470, Michelle, please? weren't there?
Sir, I've been in the racket of Hollywood since 1984.
Mr. Depp, I'm asking you a yes or no question. There were plenty of negative news stories about you prior to May 27th, 2016, correct?
From 1984 up until then, they're both. So, of course, people write negative stories.
Sure. And you just testified to the jury that it all started on May 27th, 2016. So that's why I asked you to clarify about the negative stories prior to that date. And you'd agree that there were, correct?
Can you be specific about the stories? Of course, there have been negative stories.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
All right.
Your Honor, I have here numerous exhibits in one sort of compendium, all press articles about Mr. Depp, if I may approach.
All right, yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, in having received this, I would like to preemptively lodge a hearsay, lack of foundation, and
He hasn't got him in evidence yet. Are you moving?
No,
these
I'm
to evidence?
happy to approach, but they're certainly not being admitted for the truth of the matter asserted, but I'm happy to approach and discuss if you'd like.
Right.
Judge Penny, I mean, if they don't come in, you're just going to use them to what? JB Rottenborn. So yeah, Judge Penny, you said he said that there were articles written, so it's not impeachment. What is it? JB Rottenborn. So, I'm going to introduce them as evidence. So defamation, we focus a lot on falsity. But the words also have to be defamatory. And the Shea case, Virginia Supreme Court case, 290 VA.83 says that defamatory words, you have to have the defamatory staying. Defamatory words are those tending to harm the reputation of another, as to lower him in the estimation of the community, or to deter third persons from associating with him. And then they go on to describe the nature of that. The court says, we have stated that defamatory language tends to injure one's reputation in the common estimation of mankind, to throw continually shame or disgrace upon him, or which tends to hold him up to scorn, ridicule, or contempt, or which is calculated to render him infamous, odious, or ridiculous. So this goes directly to the elements that they have to prove in order to win this case, that not only were the statements false, but that they have a defamatory sting. And so the fact of these articles, a drop in the bucket, that these were out there, what I propose to do is get him to admit that this headline is not hearsay, it's for his reputation, what the public knew, whether true or not, and I'd just like to go through them. So that's why I gave them all to him at once, so we could move expeditiously through this. I will say one of them is the headline or the subject of the UK suit. I don't plan to emphasise that. Judge Penny, I don't see how they can get into evidence. If you maybe ask him, JB Rottenborn. I'll ask him about it. I don't need to get them in, but I would like to go through and get him to acknowledge that as of this day an article was written that said why, and if they don't come into evidence, that's fine at this point. I think that that's very relevant. And under the Shea case, it goes to the heart of what he has to prove. Ms. Myers, Your Honour, most of these articles have absolutely nothing to do with the defamatory statements that were made in the op-ed, which is that he was an abuser of a woman. These are completely irrelevant. JB Rottenborn, doesn't matter. Ms. Myers, this goes to a completely different aspect of reputation that's not at issue in this case. JB Rottenborn, doesn't matter. Its reputation as a whole is what the Supreme Court says that you look at, or intending so to harm the reputation of another as to lower him in the estimation of the community. When you look at these articles, something by Miss Heard saying 2 years ago I became public figure representing domestic abuse is a lot less likely to have any impact. Judge Penny, but this one doesn't come in. You can't ask him about this one. JB Rottenborn, okay, I won't. Judge Penny. I have to go through these separately. Ms. Myers, Your Honour, I mean, the headlines themselves are hearsay. They lack any foundation. I mean, some of these are tabloids. J.B. Rottenborn. They're not hearsay. They're not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Judge Penny. But they are being offered because you're saying they ruined his reputation. J.B. Rottenborn. I know, but it's something that says, apparently, Johnny Depp was drunk. I don't care if Johnny Depp was drunk, but if that's out in the public, that's directly relevant to his reputation. I'm not saying that they prove something. I'm saying that the public knew that these were out there, and that's, under the Shea case, that's the heart of the case, Your Honour. If he had been someone with a crystal clean record, who had never had any negative press about him, whatever's being sued, whatever statement is the subject of defamation case, is going to potentially carry more defamatory sting than someone who's had all of this stuff written about him. Ms. Myers, Your Honour, an article does not establish what someone's reputation is. Judge Penny, it's out in the public because he's a public person, so I understand that. I'm just seeing which ones of these are cumulative. J.B. Rottenborn, that one that you're looking at, alright? Judge Penny, none of them come into evidence, but you can ask him about them. J.B. Rottenborn, thank you, I'll take that out. Judge Penny, are you just doing the headlines? J.B. Rottenborn, yes, nothing more. Judge Penny, and the dates, I assume? J.B. Rottenborn, and the dates, yes, Your Honour. Judge Penny, the date of the op-ed again? J.B. Rottenborn, December 18th, 2018. Judge Penny, I think we already did this one. J.B. Rottenborn, we did, I'll take it out. Judge Penny, you want to see the ones? J.B. Rottenborn, yeah, okay. Judge Penny, if you want to switch stacks with me, I can. If you want to make sure. J.B. Rottenborn, sure. Judge Penny, you might take a look at what I have. Ms. Myers, thank you. J.B. Rottenborn, I'm just going to set these to the side. Ms. Myers, I would maintain my relevance objection. Judge Penny, it's reputation of a public person, so that's out in the public. They are not coming into evidence, but he can question about it, and you can redirect about it as well. But I just want to make sure. J.B. Rottenborn, Your Honour, with this one, I would propose to read the title, but then the subtitle as well. Judge Penny, okay, that's fine. Ms. Myers, can I see the subtitle? J.B. Rottenborn, after this, I only have one little module, and then I'm done. Judge Penny, okay, thank you. J.B. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honour. Can I get that back from the witness? Maybe it might make sense for me to. Judge Penny, that one, you can take mine if you like. J.B. Rottenborn, okay, I think there were only 4. I can just take this out really quick. Judge Penny, okay. J.B. Rottenborn, do you want to give this to the witness, please? And then this has the full set. Judge Penny, okay. J.B. Rottenborn, but I'll let you know when I skip over one. Judge Penny, okay, that's fine, thank you.
Mr. Depp, if you could please take a look at the stack of articles in front of you.
Yes, it's a stack of hit
Yes,
pieces
the first one is
generated
called
by
the,
Ms. Heard's publicity team.
Mr. Depp, we're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible.
I'm just
I'm going to ask you
stating
about
that
the
they
first
are.
one. Well, we're going to talk about them. The first one is entitled, is from The Guardian. Do you see that?
Apparently drunk.
Yes, and this is an article from November 15th, 2014, entitled, Apparently Drunk Johnny Depp Cut Off at Hollywood Film Awards Ceremony, correct?
That's what it says, yes, sir.
And the next article is an article from May 7th, 2016. It's entitled, Johnny Depp, Friends and Family Seriously Concerned About Him. Here's Why.
Yes,
Correct.
how did they know?
The next article from May 1st, 2017, before Ms. Heard filed for a restraining order, a year and a half before she published.
A piece that was in some magazine, and Sean Bailey, who was the number 3.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't know yet. I'll overrule it at this point.
Thank you.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sean Bailey, who was the third the third in line, as I suppose, in the upper echelon of Disney, just basically said in the...
Objection, hearsay.
Your
What
Honor,
Sean Bailey said.
this is about him
It's in an
learning about this. It's
article.
not for the truth.
It is the truth. She's
If
asking.
you want to approach.
JB Rottenborn. She's soliciting testimony on what Sean Bailey said to him about what Disney was going to do with him. It's hearsay. Ms. Myers. Well, I was asking him about how he learned about it. Judge Penny. Okay, redirect him. JB Rottenborn. Thank you.
Used to me to be some species of contract, no?
Is this a contract that you entered into?
With Disney.
Your Honor, I'd ask that Plaintiff's Exhibit 804 be moved into evidence and published.
Any objection?
I think it's outside the scope of direct or cross-examination.
I'll rule on that objection.
Okay, and I'll reserve other objections to portions of the document, depending on what she's going to ask about. Could be hearsay.
But she's asking to put it all into evidence right now.
Well, then I would object to that at this point.
All right, you want to come forward? Let's see. Okay.
Ms. Myers. Your Honour, it's a contract. It's not hearsay. It's an agreement amongst partners. JB Rottenborn. Well, a contract can be hearsay. Ms. Myers. But it can be hearsay. Indiscernible due to cross-talking. Over the last, Judge Penny, the cover letter, indiscernible, of the contract. JB Rottenborn. Isn't he first page? Maybe not. Ms. Myers. This isn't the contract. JB Rottenborn. Is the first page the contract? Judge Penny. Let me see. It says ladies and gentlemen. JB Rottenborn. Ladies and gentlemen. Right. So there's a cover letter. Judge Penny. Alright, so if we took out the cover letter. JB Rottenborn. That's fine. Judge Penny. Just a contract without the cover letter. Ms. Myers. Certainly. Judge Penny. So 804 minus page 1. Ms. Myers. Okay. JB Rottenborn. Thank you. Judge Penny. Alright.
If I could just get a redacted copy of that at some point. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Depp, if I could direct your attention to...
All right, we ready for the jury? Sure, yes, ma'am.
Elaine. Your Honour, today the audience has been much more rowdy. Judge Penny. I'm trying. Yeah. Elaine. And I know Your Honour has, but they've been... Perhaps Your Honour can say something in addition to it, explaining to them a little bit. And I think they could be admonished too. Judge Penny. Well, if I could get... I was waiting for objections, honestly. I'm not going to... Elaine. Oh, is that what... That's what we should do? We weren't to do with that. JB Rottenborn. And I'm kind of letting you know that, you know, every time... Judge Penny. And sometimes that's trial strategy, so I don't want to say anything. I don't want to interject myself in either one of your cases unless you object to something, except if it gets too loud. Elaine. And I know it has impacted the jury also. They laugh when they laugh. Judge Penny. Right, yeah. I'm not going to say, I think they got it. I'll do it again if I think there's an issue. Elaine. Okay. Benchu. Yeah, I don't think he's planned anything distracting. Judge Penny. I don't know. I mean, he has had some comments that, if there was an objection, I would have addressed it. Elaine. Okay, thank you, Your Honour. Judge Penny. Okay. Benchu. Thank you, Your Honour.
All right, are we ready for the jury then? Okay.
Especially, it was really helpful to get information about what time they wanted dinner, you know, basic stuff like that, or anything. It was good interaction all the time with the both of them.
Okay. Now you mentioned wine. Can you tell us to what extent did you observe either of them consume alcohol over the course of these 4 weeks?
Sure. When I started that job, or when I was taking that job on, I was told, I think by Mr. Depp's assistant, that he was... Oh, sorry.
Can you answer without telling what you were told?
Was made aware that Mr. Depp was.
Could you put your microphone on?
Okay.
Same objection. He's explaining what he was been told. Now he just said I was informed.
I don't think it's offered for the truth, Your Honor. I think it's just offered for to explain his own behavior towards the couple.
No, it's can we approach?
Okay.
Judge Penny, I don't know what he's going to say, so I'm not sure. Mr. Nadelhoff, I think he's going to say indiscernible. Judge Penny, he was told that. Mr. Nadelhoff, he was told by Mr. Depp's agent, Depp's assistant, that indiscernible. If it's not offered for the truth, what else would it be for? Mr. Moniz, yeah, it's just being offered for the fact, and that is what he's going to say. I think is that he was informed. He told her on that basis he was bringing wine. He understood that wasn't bringing wine to Mr. Depp. It was just to explain his own understanding of the context. Mr. Nadelhoff, Your Honour, it's still hearsay. Judge Penny, still hearsay. Thank you.
All right, so Mr. King, moving past the conversation, let's not touch on that. But just in general, can you describe the alcohol consumption that you personally observed and what you personally witnessed?
Sure. I didn't see Mr. Depp consume any alcohol during that time in London. There was a large consignment of wine that had been delivered to the house at the start of the visit. Many cases that I had to store, had to find a place to store. And generally speaking, on a day-to-day, about 1 or 2 bottles of red wine were consumed per day. I think that's fair to say.
Did you ever observe Mr. Depp drink any of the wine?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever observe Ms. Heard drink any of the wine?
Yes, I did.
Regularly?
Daily.
And how would you describe Jerry Judge's demeanor when he was speaking with her?
He was just keeping her calm, saying, "It's all right, love, it will be all right." You know, Jerry was good, like, you know, big heart, Jerry. He's a good guy. He was calm. Jerry was always calm. Well, mostly.
And what did you do next?
I saw they were engaged across away there, so I went into the main kitchen area, which, as I said, was just directly ahead of those main steps, and spoke to David Kipper.
And following that conversation, what did you do?
Well, he told me that Mr. Depp had...
Objection, hearsay.
All right.
Your Honor, it's, well, maybe we approach.
Okay.
Judge Penny. 1, the question was, what did you do after you spoke with Dr. Kipper? Let's get that straight. Mr. Moniz, understood, Your Honour. Mr. King just searched the house for the finger, so he's just going to say he was told he needed to look for the finger. It's not being offered for the truth, it's just being offered to explain why he was going around looking for the finger. He's not going to testify he was told at this point how it was lost, so it's not being offered for the truth. It's purely the effect on the listener. Mr. Nadelhoff, indiscernible. Mr. Moniz, definitionally, not hearsay, Your Honour. It's simply being offered to explain why he is going. Judge Penny, if he starts saying something about Johnny, we know what he's going to say. Mr. Moniz, he's going to say he was informed that he needed to go find Mr. Depp's finger. Judge Penny, okay, not the reason for it. Mr. Moniz, he was not informed of how he lost his finger. Judge Penny, I think that's fine. Okay?
So you can answer the question. What did you do next?
So I spoke to David Kipper, who was in the kitchen area, seemingly rummaging through a bin. He said that Mr. Depp had sustained an injury to his finger, one of his fingers, and he was looking for the fingertip that it said it had been severed.
And
so I said, well, shall I help you? You know, as one would. And
Now, you understand that there was a phone in the house that was recording during the cleanup, correct?
sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
Did you come to understand that there was a phone in the house that was recording as people were cleaning up?
At that time, no.
But you now know that there was a phone that was recording people as they were cleaning up, correct?
Objection, foundation, hearsay.
I'm not asking for particular statements.
That's just fine. I'll allow it if he knows.
I believe that came up somewhere later on. At that time, I wasn't aware, but I believe I became aware of it later, yes.
Okay. I would like to put up defendant's 378. It's a recording, and I want to play a couple of times. 12:07 through 13:19.
Is that the only segment you wish to have?
And then I would also I'd also like to play 1951 through 21:38.
And is this going to be used again, or is this?
I think it would be A.
Okay, 378A. Any objection to 378A?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have an objection. I believe this is a recording that has the voices of people other than Ms. Hurd and Mr. Depp, and on that basis, it's hearsay.
Okay.
Unless I'm incorrect about which document we're talking about.
Can we
Sure.
Judge Penny, transcript. Miss Nadelhoff, correct, but Judge Penny, the highlighted parts are the ones you want to play. Mr. Nadelhoff, yeah, highlighted parts, sure, are the ones I want to play. It's on page 5 and 19. Judge Penny, sure. Mr. Manez, thank you, Your Honour. Who's talking here? Mr. Nadelhoff, this is a statement from Mr. Judge, and is evidence from an agent of Mr. Depp. Judge Penny, you would have to lay a foundation, and Mr. Judge is no longer with us, so... Mr. Nadelhoff, it's been testified to. 20 years, Mr. Judge, I think. Actually, Mr. King testified that he was... Mr. Manez, Your Honour, even if we can get around hearsay on this. Mr. Nadelhoff, and it's also present impression as well. Mr. Manez, Your Honour, even if we can get around hearsay on this, there's no foundation for Mr. Judge's knowledge. He's not able to testify. What's the foundation for even hearing his voice? Mr. Nadelhoff, I can ask if it's his voice. Mr. Manez, regardless, there's no foundation for Mr. Judge's knowledge, and it's still hearsay. Mr. Nadelhoff, and then on page 9 there's Mr. King. Mr. Manez, can I see your... I'm sorry. Judge Penny, page... Mr. Manez, who is Jay? Judge Penny, that's... Mr. Manez, oh, Jerry Judge. I mean, Your Honour, this is all... Mr. Nadelhoff, there's a question about what's happening at the time. It's not talking about... Judge Penny, I'll sustain the objection. It's not coming in. Mr. Nadelhoff, can I ask... So you're saying this is all hearsay? I just want to make sure. Judge Penny, it's hearsay. Mr. Judge obviously deceased, so we can't lay a foundation. Mr. Nadelhoff, it's also a statement that has an interest of a party person. Judge Penny, that's Mr. Judge's statement. Mr. Nadelhoff, okay. Judge Penny, no. Mr. Nadelhoff, okay, Your Honour. I don't want to make you upset, but I do want to, for the record, I want to ask about another recording. I understand your ruling is going to be with Mr. Judge. Judge Penny, okay, so I'll sustain the same for the record. I'll sustain the objection. Mr. Nadelhoff, so it's clear it would be Exhibit 380. Judge Penny, 380? Mr. Nadelhoff, yeah. Judge Penny, okay. Mr. Nadelhoff, so you're going to sustain that as hearsay, is that right? Judge Penny, any other objection other than foundation? Mr. Manez, hearsay foundation, I think that covers it, Your Honour. Judge Penny, okay, thank you.
Excuse me, sorry about that. Going back to the photos that you took for a moment, of that damage in the house, you recall giving that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Depp ask you for the photos?
No.
Did you give the photos to counsel first?
Other than Mr. Depp's counsel, did anybody else ever ask to see your photos?
I'll allow it.
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness subject to recall? All right, sir, since you're subject to recall, it's important that you do not discuss your testimony with anybody and do not pay any attention to the trial and don't watch anything about the trial, okay?
Of course.
All right, thank you.
Certainly.
All right, you can step down, sir. Yes, ma'am?
Thank you.
Elaine, Your Honour, there are 2 court orders requiring them to produce all the photos, and they did not produce those. I would like to be able to get the court to order Mr. King to turn them over. Judge Penny, okay. Elaine, if not, we're asking for spoliation instruction. I just want to give the court that. Mr. Menez, first of all, Your Honour, this is obviously not somebody who's employed by Mr. Depp. Judge Penny, understand. The question is, are those photos in your custody? Mr. Menez, they are not in our custody, possession or control, but we have no objection to him turning. Judge Penny, well, we'll get them before he leaves. Get everything that's on his phone and we'll turn it all over. Mr. Menez, those are after the close of discovery, obviously, but yeah, I mean, if he has photos that he hasn't produced, then yeah, that's fine. Judge Penny, sure. Why don't you get them tonight? Turn them over tonight to Miss Bredehoff so she can have them, and he's subject to recall, so if we need to call him back at any time, we can call him back. I'll give you leeway to have questions, obviously. You can waive it today. Mr. Moniz, and just as a point of clarification, Your Honour, this is not a witness to... It is a UK resident, not subject to subpoena. Judge Penny, I know, but he said he handed over 10 to 20 photos. I think it may be prior to counsel, I don't know, but still, this resolves the issue. I think we can take care of it from there, okay? Ben Chew, thank you, Your Honour.
Ladies and gentlemen, that comes to the end of our day, so we're going to excuse you for the evening. Again, do not do any outside research and don't talk to anybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay, have a good evening. All right, thank you.